What is up, Gig Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Big news today. If you drive for Uber or deliver for Uber Eats in the state of California, you may not have a job next week. That's because a preliminary injunction in the state of California has given Uber 10 days to reclassify its drivers and delivery drivers as full-time employees, which means that they now have to provide benefits to them. Stuff like paid time off, healthcare, sick leave, and even overtime wages. But these sort of things take time to put into place. And according to Uber's CEO, they may have to shut down for 2 to 3 months. That means that if you depend on this platform for your wages, to pay your bills, to pay your rent, to put food on the table, you may have to look elsewhere for the next few months as Uber shuts down its app. Now all of this comes to a head because AB5 has really pushed politicians in the state of California to force Uber to comply, and Uber is doing what they can to fight this new legislation. But lately, things have really heated up, and politicians are trying to force Uber's hand. They're trying to force them to do it immediately. Now, Uber's stance definitely does make sense. I mean, it would be very hard to see them switching over their entire business model in one state in less than 10 days. It's just not possible. And according to the Attorney General of California, Xavier Becerra, he would like to see Uber gone. That means that in the midst of a pandemic, a major job provider in the state of California in the United States, the Attorney General would like to see them gone. So essentially he's saying that he would like to see fewer jobs in California. Now in his mind, someone else might step up to provide better jobs. Jobs may go elsewhere, but I've yet to hear of a plan from the Attorney General to actually provide jobs to the people of California.
To stop classifying their drivers as independent contractors. Joining us now is the Attorney General for the state of California, Javier Becerra, Javier, Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Now, Uber and Lyft's argument is that their drivers don't actually want to be treated as employees because it takes away their flexibility. Is that correct?
It's a bogus argument, and the court saw straight through that. What worker doesn't want to have access to paid sick leave? What worker doesn't want to have unemployment insurance at a time of COVID-19 crisis? What worker doesn't want to know that they'll get paid for overtime if they work 60 hours in a week or 12 hours in a day? It's a bogus argument, and it's what's worse about the argument that Uber and Lyft try to present a false choice. You don't have to give up those rights and those benefits to have flexibility. There's nothing in California law that requires a company to remove flexibility in order for these people to be classified as employees and get those rights.
Okay, so if Uber and Lyft, though, they ultimately decide to shut down their apps in California versus bringing on 100,000 plus drivers as employees, it seems to me like everyone loses, drivers and riders in the state. So are you worried that that could sort of shift the sentiment here and legislation AB5 could be seen as a negative thing instead of a positive one?
Now, a lot of this is happening during times of uncertainty. The pandemic has really shaken up a lot of people's livelihoods. People that were working in the restaurant industry and hospitality are actually turning to Uber and Uber Eats to get basic income to provide for their families. Not everyone is getting those federal unemployment checks. People do need that money. So the gig economy has really, thrown out a lifeline here to a lot of people. But the state of California sees it differently. They have very high expectations for what should be provided to workers and what sort of safeties and guarantees should be provided. So what exactly will happen? If you are listening to this video and you're watching it and you live in California, you work for the gig economy, what are you supposed to do? Well, there are places where you can go to get unemployment. A recent executive order by Trump has put into place an extended unemployment that will be $400 a week. This is down from the $600 a week, but there are stipulations. One of those stipulations is that states have to contribute $100 of the $400 to pay for that unemployment. And if they do not contribute, then there will be no unemployment. Now, California has said that they cannot afford to contribute $100. So they're basically saying they cannot do anything to chip in, and there will be no unemployment offered in California. Now, if you're panicking right now, if you're freaking out because you will no longer have a job and you can't get unemployment, take a deep breath, relax. The federal government is actually doing some things to try and check this executive order, put it into place, and still provide $300 of unemployment regardless of whether states can chip in. So people in California would now be getting $300 a week as opposed to the $600 a week. And that equals out to about $1,200 a month, plus whatever your state gives you in benefits, which is still a lot less than what you were previously getting. So you might be sitting back and wondering, is this a good thing? Is it a good thing that California cares so much about its workers and they want to see them full time? Or is this a bad thing? A lot of politicians who supposedly wanted the best for their people have ended up putting people in impoverished situations and have ended up hurting the economy in a lot of ways. So we have to look at this delicately. Are politicians in California now in this fight with Uber, with Lyft, with the gig economy? And have they taken it so far that it could end up hurting people and destroying the livelihoods of people living in that state? Personally, I don't know the answer to this. I would like to see some compromise. I'd like to see gig economy apps do a little bit more to take care of people, but they can't do everything. It's not a cushy tech job, and if you want a better job, you can take classes online. It's practically free to take these courses. Google is giving out thousands of scholarships. There are tons of ways that you can earn more money and make more money if you want to, if you don't want to work in the gig economy. But people choose to work there and they enjoy it. So I put out a survey on the Gig Nation channel to see what people think. Do they think it's positive to be classified as a full-time employee, or do they think it's negative? Preliminary feedback shows that about 70% of people think it's negative. Now, I haven't had a ton of people fill out this survey yet, so I'm going to be updating you guys when I get some more data on this. But right now we have two perspectives. We have career politicians who have probably never run their own business, maybe taken one course in economics. It doesn't look like they know a ton about the economy and how economics actually work. And you have independent business owners, independent contractors, people who have run their own businesses their entire life, who are saying, hey, this is what we've seen work, this is what we like, this is what we prefer. And you have two varying perspectives. Now, the politicians do have something. They have theory, they have a lot of thought leaders in the industry throughout the world saying that these sort of systems work. But if you do want to incrementally put into place something like this, you need to slowly do it, and you need to provide feedback. So you need to show exactly how it is improving people's daily lives and how the system actually works. You don't need to try and undercut the entire system immediately and overthrow the way things that are currently working, because that has the opportunity to create a ton of chaos, which is what we are trying to avoid. Essentially, we'd like to see more stability. Everyone wants stability, but they also want the best for the individuals and the individual workers at the end of the day. Meanwhile, Uber has done a lot to kind of shift their app around to better strengthen its argument that its drivers are actually independent contractors. And they've done more to actually provide some benefits and, different things that can actually help their drivers out. Have they done enough yet? Probably not. But do they need to fully classify their drivers as full-time workers when this type of work has been called a side hustle since it was originally created? Well, that's yet to be determined, and I'm not going to pretend like I know all of the answers here, but I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Is this a good thing that California is doing? Is it a bad thing? Fill out the survey, leave a comment down below, because your voices are what matter the most. The voices of the people, not just the politicians and not just the CEOs of the companies. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure to like this video if you thought it was good. Subscribe to the channel Gig Nation, because there's going to be a ton of different stuff coming up. And check out gigsharks.com for all of the latest gig economy jobs. We're recently lining up a ton of perks to help you guys not only find more jobs, but save more money on stuff like telehealth, telemedicine, and insurance. If you're looking for cheaper insurance, check out our perks there, because we've partnered with Jerry.ai, and they essentially automate the process of finding insurance, so you can be sure that you have the cheapest possible plan and save a ton of money there. Make sure to check it out.